Back in 1933, the filming landscape was turned on its frickin' head with a brand new film. Directed by Marion C. Cooper, they took the very unknown and feared gorilla and turned it into a monster film with King Kong. The story of a director traveling with his lead actress and a boat crew to a remote island where there is tribe members. But it quickly turns into chaos as the tribe goes AWOL and a giant gorilla is revealed. He steals the lead actress, causing the boat crew to rescue her. Now, the film might look silly and outdated for today's standards, but for the time, it was very impressive, using stop-motion puppets for King Kong and various dinosaurs, showing a story of how a giant beast has a heart, and good old King Kong climbing the Empire State Building. The film was only made for $675,000 and grossed over $2 million, turning a profit. So naturally, a sequel was coming. With the conclusion of the first film, King Kong has died, so how do you do a sequel? Simple. You use his albino son. Yes, specifically albino. The story revolves around the director from the first film, Carl Denham, how disastrous his film went with a giant killer ape and all. He flees the city because he brought a giant man-slaughtering ape into New York, and people aren't too happy about that. He leaves on a boat but is tricked and goes back to Skull Island, where he finds another Kong to deal with. Now, this movie is very old and should be looked at through the lens of the time period, that of the 1930s. So without further ado, let's get into the very strange and weird Son of Kong movie and how it nearly killed the entire franchise as a whole. Our film begins with some old-timey intro of introducing every single character. And this is also a funny time in history because every male character sounds like this. Yeah, she, what are you doing? Yeah, she, I'm going to the hot dog stand, get a hot dog, yeah? Underrated time in human history, minus the World War. Back to the film. It begins with our main character, Carl Denham, sneaking past reporters from getting insight on the whole ape debacle. A female reporter manages to barge in, demanding a response from the chaos he accidentally caused. Carl shows remorse, saying he wishes he kept Kong on his island, away from humans. He would have been saved, and so many lives would have been as well. Carl's hit rock bottom. He's broke, and he's being sued by a crap ton of people, and will be indicted. So he had enough and decided to get the hell out of New York by riding on a boat to the seas. A boat captain by the name of Skipper offers to take Carl off to New York, where they and their skeleton crew can sail, working freight. With no other option, Carl agrees and sets sail to a new life. They travel the Indian Ocean past several countries like Singapore and Makassar before arriving in Dakong. Carl asks with curiosity how far away are they from Kong Island, and Skipper conveniently knows the exact mileage. In the meantime, the two go to a monkey show, and it's just monkeys playing with instruments, and I shit you not, it is this for over a minute. But after that, a young woman with a guitar comes and sings on the stage for her next performance, and she has captured the eye of the director, Carl, whose instincts are playing in, saying he sees a star in this woman. Not her singing is terrible, but her beauty and her confidence. We flash forward to seeing the woman sleeping in her bed, but as it happens, a fire breaks out due to a drunken man and the woman's dad getting into a kerfuffle, leading to the man dying and the woman barely escaping with her father's dead body. Carl finds the young woman trying to capture her monkeys that ran out through the fire. The young woman said that her father is dead. Carl says that's mad unfortunate and all, but says he likes her style. In our next scene, we find the man who had the kerfuffle with her dad, and somehow the young woman knows everything that happened despite being asleep. The man threatens the woman. But in the next scene, we find out the drunken man actually knows Carl Denham, and they bring out how basically both their careers are over, before he asks Carl if he can join the ride. He of course says yes because he's an old friend, but the boat captain denies it as they cannot afford to carry any more passengers. But the drunken man remembers the treasure on Kong Island that was left there, and Carl is shocked by this and wants to know more about it and starts to gas him up and make the captain second guess if they should allow him on the ship. Now, right here, it kind of sounds like Hellstrom, that's the man's name by the way, is trying to coerce Denham and Skipper into gay sex. There's treasure on Skull Island. I got a map of it in the bathroom. Yeah. Hellstrom, why are your pants off? Is that a fair thing to say? Is that stretching it a little bit? I don't think it's stretching it a little bit. I think it's pretty fair to say. Anyway, the captain eventually agrees, and they take the drunken passenger, Hellstrom, and it works hook, line, and sinker for him. Before Carl leaves, he wants to give the woman a proper goodbye, saying he sees real potential in her. She thanks him and asks him to be taken with his crew, but he explains that they already have too many people, and they are traveling far into the ocean, and it wouldn't be worth it for her. But he bids her farewell. The next day, we see the crew readying to leave, but they see the drunken man Hellstrom slowly getting crew members to turn on the captain, affirming that they're going to Skull Island, completely making it his idea giving it off as he's putting his crew members in danger for treasure. But from there, the woman from earlier is found on the boat as she snuck on. They can't take her back now, so she's along for the ride. As she's there, she sees Hellstrom and knows his sinister intentions that his crew doesn't currently know yet. Skipper's men start a mutiny the next day and throw off Skipper, Denham, and the young woman for thinking that Skipper betrayed them, and also counting Denham and the young woman in there as well, because why not? Then they get on a little boat, and the only freaking island that's near them is Kong Island. Who would have thought? And they also throw Hellstrom off because he's a cocky little asshole, and they reluctantly grab Hellstrom and bring him on the boat too. The natives aren't too happy to see Denham and the whole crew after the whole Kong thing destroying their civilization. So Carl says, and I quote, "That finna one on me, dog. I'll take responsibility on that one." But the tribe isn't too happy about that, so the group have to move to a different part of the island. On this new part of the island, Denham and the young one start to explore the island. When they explore, finally encountering the son of Kong, 75% of the movie. 75% of the movie, we finally get to King Kong. And he's albino and smaller. Confirming in this universe, King Kong does but the poor guy is trapped in quicksand. So they help him and save him. Kong's son is much more friendly and playful than his father, and is more of a hero than a anti-hero villain like King Kong was. Our next scene shows a giant bear looking to eat Denham and the young woman. But King Kong's son comes up and saves the day and starts to wrestle the bear. He's giving them the good old wham bam thank you ma'am, trying to do his best triangle choke and all. Kong eventually chases away the beast with a giant club, saving the pair. Kong, injured, needs help. So Denham, feeling bad, starts to heal him up with a bandage and apologizes for mistreating and causing his dad's death, redeeming himself in a way by helping his son. Kong doesn't seem to mind and looks to forgive Denham and gifts him with some coconuts from above. After that, Denham and the young woman look to find the treasure on the island, and they find it in a cave, but they can't get in. So thankfully, King Kong breaks the barrier, opening it to reveal the treasure. Denham gets all the treasure, claiming, "We're all rich." But at this time, Kong grabs Denham's gun and attempts to take his own life, being depressed about his father being dead. That didn't happen. This film needs a little spice up. Don't hurt me, I'm trying to save the movie. The son of Kong does not try to take his own life. But what if he did? But there is no time for that as a dinosaur enrages and starts to fight Kong's son, and they must face off against the beast. The two go toe-to-toe, but Kong is too much and beats the shit and kills that dinosaur, beating it to death, and hits an oopsies after. Very strange movie. A lot of slapstick humor with Kong. To make it more lighthearted, I guess? I don't know. From there, Skipper and Hellstrom come to find Denham, saying they gotta get the heck out of there. Denham says, "What of the treasure?" And Hellstrom's like, "Bro, I made that shit up. You gonna take me on the boat? That's why I did it." But Denham's like, "No, for real, there's actually treasure." Hellstrom freaks out seeing Kong and looks to flee, but is quickly swarmed by a dinosaur, ragdolled with great effects, being killed. Just then, an earthquake hits the island, causing them to evacuate. Denham goes for the rest of the treasure, and now he realizes an earthquake is happening and tries to get the heck out of there, but luckily Kong is there to help him escape. The other three get on their boat, escaping, but Denham isn't on the boat. The group sees Denham and Kong on the last rock, and it hasn't sunk just yet, and looks to save him, but Kong, realizing it's the end for them, using his last bit of strength and heroism to hold up Denham as Kong sinks into the abyss of the sea, as he holds up Denham long enough for him to be saved by the group on the boat. We flash forward to see Denham got the treasure, and later the group is saved by a nearby passing ship, and they lived happily ever after. The end. First off, I don't know why this is called The Son of Kong. His ass is barely in it, and when he's in it, he's like a side character. The movie's an hour and 9 minutes, and it was a very rushed film. I will say things I enjoy. I enjoyed Carl Denham's character. He was very charming. He's got that 1930s charm. I don't know what about it, man. It worked. It worked on me. I'm like, this guy's a freaking hero. This guy's a badass, even though he's done nothing in the movie besides have a weird accent. The stop motion animation is still pretty cool. The dinosaurs, Son of Kong, looks really good. I love it. But the film is very strange. It's a very different style from the first one. The first one is basically almost a horror film, and this one is like almost like a slapstick comedy. I don't really know what they were going for there. But I enjoy this movie nonetheless. Is this movie good? No, this movie is not good at all. However, the film was a big failure critically and financially, and almost killed the King Kong franchise as a whole, as it took them nearly 30 years to make another King Kong film that wasn't even a purely King Kong film. It was King Kong versus Godzilla. Now, why did they do this? Well, after the success of King Kong, they had to make another one, and they completely rushed the film. I believe there were some mishaps and they had to do it or they wouldn't be able to do it at all. So they're like, let's just do it. They managed to get the director from the first one, like the actor, not the actual director, but you know what I mean? I think he actually directed this one as well. Anyways, they got him. They did a whole story, Son of Kong, because they killed King Kong in the first one. You can't say he survived falling 1,000 feet off the Empire State Building. Like, it's just not real. It's just not possible. I don't care how big the monkey is. He's not surviving that stuff. And they ended up doing that, and it nearly killed the franchise for good. Could you imagine being in the 60s and being like a 40-year-old like dad, and you see King Kong vs. Godzilla, and he's like, oh my god, he's back. PTSD in that moment right there. That would be sick. Anyways, that's it for me, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this one. Son of Kong is like the funniest, weirdest movie I think I've ever seen. I watched this drunk and I was very pleased watching it. But that's it for me, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Yeah, bye.